Hello and welcome back to my LEGO Castle Kingdom, where this week I've expanded the city centre and filled it up with a sprawling market, which is bustling with activity and features all kinds of colourful market stalls, selling a huge variety of food and exotic products. And this extends all throughout this main square, with the three musicians who seem to have attracted quite an audience since last episode. And I've also been working on some other builds, including a fancy royal carriage behind that tree over there. And I've also began construction on another building, which is this very tall central townhouse. And with this one, it's still a little bit of a work in progress. So there's lots of new things to explore, and I can't wait to show you them all. So let's get started and begin by taking a better look at the medieval market. A lot of you suggested that I should include a market somewhere in my kingdom, and I thought this space right in the middle here was a really good place to include that. It is a little bit tricky to get to, because I have had to temporarily remove some of the farm buildings, but at least this way you can see all of the market stands, and we'll get to the other side later on. So let's take a look at each of these in order, starting with this green stand, and this includes a selection of baked goods. So if we move this customer out of the way, you can see that even includes some small slices of chocolate, all kinds of medieval goodies, as well as a pair of baguettes in a basket. And that's a very neat design, which I made by attaching 7 grill tiles around this transparent dome piece with a LEGO Technic rubber band to create that round woven basket effect, which I think has turned out really nicely. You can make some really interesting shapes using these LEGO rubber bands. Then there's also a small table next to that. You can just about see that with some jam and a pretzel. And that's about it for the baked goods stall, because the next market stall features a selection of different cheeses in both gigantic wheels and individual slices. So there's a lot of variety, especially for a medieval time period. And there's also some more dairy type ingredients, with some crates of eggs sitting on the ground next to the cheese selection. Continuing on the theme of animal-based products, the next stand is where the butcher is located. He's selling a variety of different meats, including some sausages, a giant turkey, and some carving knives, as well as a carcass hanging up in the corner. And there's the butcher himself. He's got his trusty cleaver and a leg of lamb. And then there's also this crate of fish kept fresh inside some ice, and that is actually the same technique which I used in my LEGO supermarket, where it's just transparent, clear 1x1 slopes in different angles to represent the shards of ice. So that's what that looks like from the back, and you can also get a better view of the sausages strung up from the top of the canopy, as well as some of the meats and the bones inside the rest of the butcher's stand. And here's a look at the back of that cheese stand as well, while we're at it, which appears to have attracted an unwanted customer. And then it's pretty simple round the back of the bakery stand, nothing too complicated going on over there. And this leads nicely into the next market stall, and this is actually a break from all the food. This one is actually selling a very fancy looking oriental style rug, which has obviously been imported from a faraway kingdom. And this is clearly a very well established trader, as he's already got his price list of all the stuff he's selling pinned to the walls of his stand, and it looks like he's in the process of receiving some money from a customer. So it looks like he's doing pretty well selling whatever it is he's got on his stand. And that is a collection of exotic perfumes and spices, which have also been imported from the same faraway locations that he got the rug from. So he's obviously making a good bit of profit in this medieval kingdom, where you wouldn't otherwise get products like that. So that about sums up that half of the market, and I didn't want to overcrowd it, but I might go back on this area and add some more stone detailing in this grassy area. I'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the amount of colours and variety and just general details in that half of my medieval market. And then I've also added this hand-drawn cart, transporting some raw stone to some kind of workshop where it can be crafted and cut into proper stone bricks. And from here, this brings us nicely into the fresh fruit and produce sections of the market. And this area is best viewed from this side, and from here you can see all of the crates full of all the different types of vegetables, such as apples, potatoes, garlics in the corner, carrots, and bell peppers. This guy looks like he's chosen a good one. Then there's also some cherries in different varieties over there, and some more leafy vegetables in these barrels next to the plant cellar. And I thought these stickered signs from the old Lego Diagon Alley set worked really nicely for this market. And then the other main attraction in my medieval market is this trio of moving musicians. You might remember these bards from last time. They're still jamming out as ever. And if you're interested in seeing more about these moving musicians, then check out last episode where I introduced this build and went into a bit more detail into the whole movement and animation. And that's about it for the actual market area, but that's not all that's new in my LEGO Castle Kingdom. There's still two other main additions. And one of those is a bit hidden behind this tree, and that is the royal carriage. So I'll take this out so we can have a better look. But first, here's what that looks like in the scenery where it's going to be positioned in the final model. And I know that it is a little bit covered up, but I have tested this in all the different possible locations, and I think this actually is the best spot for this royal carriage. I've designed this carriage with a slightly more fantastical element to the shape, but it can still be considered a reasonably realistic design, especially considering that the idea is this is the royal carriage that will transport the king and other members of his family when they're travelling through towns or different parts of the kingdom. That's why I've decorated this accordingly with lots of really nice pearl gold colour pieces. Even the horse is armoured up with some custom pearl gold and turquoise armour, and of course you have this teal/turquoise shade for the rest of the design. So if you're wondering how I did these reins for the horse, they're actually made out of a Lego rubber band. I've used quite a few of these in this build actually. And then there's a little seat there with the royal coach driver. And some more ornamental designs, as well as the middle of the carriage, and that's actually 3 studs wide. So you could, if you wanted to, fit 2 figures in there. And I'll probably add a member of royalty in there at some point. Maybe not the king himself, because I want to include him in the castle, but maybe one of his princes or princesses. So that fancy design continues along to the back, where you can see a couple of windows, and that does extend through to the other side. It's just a little dark at the moment. But then you also have this trunk at the back, or a golden treasure chest, just for storing some valuables and possessions while the royalty are on the road. So I'm also really happy with how this design has turned out, because it has given me a great opportunity to use that really nice turquoise colour where it wouldn't otherwise make sense in a medieval setting. Finally, the last new main addition which I'd like to share is this white and sand green building. And I actually spent quite a bit of time making sure that the look of this structure was right, because it is right in the middle, right where you see it, and I wanted to make sure that all of the colours had a lot of contrast but weren't too over the top or cartoonish. So I think this final solution which I've arrived to is a very good set of complementary colour palettes, with this very nice pale sand green for the roof, and that continues into a white bordered by dark brown Tudoring wattle and daub effect for the main house portion of this building. And I built these walls using a similar style to the technique which I used for this yellow inn, where the walls are built using a studs not on top technique with various 1x4 tiles and these angled sloped bricks, both the regular and the inverted ones closer to the middle for that front section of the wall. and combined with all of the other styles and the detailing of this house, I think that works really nicely. And then there's also this nice rocky fireplace built into the side of this building. And from the side here, you might be thinking, hang on, this is only half a house. It's not actually half a house. I have finished it off, but you'll notice this back half of the wall is very plain. And that's actually for a very good reason. See, this is going to be a very densely packed portion of the city, and I'm actually going to build another building right up next to it. So that's why I didn't bother adding any detail to this part of the wall. And another thing I'd like to mention is this isn't completely finished. I'd say it's about 80 to 90% done. And as for what's going to be inside this building and also the other buildings, well, originally I was thinking for this one in particular, maybe that can just be a nice city house. But then I thought, since it's got this nice balcony area underneath, and you see I haven't furnished the interior just yet, why not make it into some kind of shop? So if you have any ideas or suggestions for what kind of medieval shop I should furnish this building into, then please let me know your suggestions in the comment section below. That about wraps up another part of my LEGO Castle Kingdom. If you enjoyed this episode, then please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so you always know when my latest videos are available. I'd like to give a big thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon, and if you'd like to become a producer and see your name here in the credits, as well as get access to exclusive bonus videos and behind the scenes content, then you too can join me on Patreon. The link to that will be in the description below, and I'd really appreciate your support. I'll see you guys next time with more LEGO creations, and thanks for watching.